Hey everyone, my name's Corey Duke. I'm a UAB medical student in the MD PhD program, and I'm a University of Montevallo graduate in 2013. And today I'm going to talk about the path to becoming a physician, share a little bit about my story and kind of what you should be thinking about if you're a freshman at Montevallo, just getting you're kind of curious about maybe considering this path, etc. So let's get into it. So I grew up in a small town in rural Oklahoma, not that different than Montevallo. Here's a picture of it. It's called Tecumseh, Oklahoma. We had one street light, and growing up there, I didn't have anyone in my family that was uh, uh, in healthcare or really into science. I thought I hated science actually, from some classes I took in high school that I didn't care for. Um, but eventually I found myself at Montevallo, and that's where I really began to discover myself. And I really hope that across these next 4 years for you, you're able to discover yourself there too, figure out what you like, what you don't like, and really be open to whatever is in front of you. I had no idea I would be where I am today, and I don't think if I had gone to Montevallo that I would be here where I'm at now. So anyways, I eventually took a science class at Montevallo and fell in love with it, and started getting involved. One of the groups that uh, I became a part of and helped start was the University of Montevallo Pre-Health Professional Society. So I think that's still going. You'll have to let me know if it is, but hopefully that's still up and running. And what we did when we started this group was we invited in people from all sorts of different career paths related to the healthcare professions, such as physicians, different kinds, surgeons, dentists, pharmacists, veterinarians, just all sorts of different types of health professions, nursing, physician assistants. And what we did was we allowed them to come speak. And I would encourage you to, if this group is still active, to get involved with it and start going to those events and really start learning about all these different past things that you would have never considered, and really spend your effort trying to think about and consider these for yourself, and learn what the job's like, whether or not you think you'll like it, things like that. And it also it opens up opportunities to go shadow, and that's probably the biggest thing that you can do. I shadow dentists and vets and all sorts of different types of physicians, and it really helped me figure out what I wanted to do. Eventually, I graduated Montevallo, and it always looks like a linear path to where you go, but mine certainly was not. I started Montevallo as an English major, studying with a minor in philosophy. I ended up taking a couple extra years and graduated in psychology, of all things, before going on and entering UAB's medical school. So I was trying to think about some things that maybe I would like to know could help me, right? Or things that I would have liked to know to help me figure out if medicine was right for me. And I started thinking about the type of people that are in medicine that I know are super happy, and different traits that they have. And so hopefully this will kind of help you um, uh, realize if you have a lot of these traits or not, and things to kind of focus on when you're thinking about choosing this path. So first, I think the people that are happiest in medicine care deeply about others, their problems, and their pain. You have to really be motivated to help people directly. And I think the people that enjoy medicine, enjoy putting in the hours it takes, really get a lot out of that direct interaction with people. And that makes us happy in itself. I also think you have to have a true love for learning and really going deep into subjects. I think medicine's a lifelong learning path. You are learning every single day, and that's like the best thing in the world if you're into it, if you really like that. But the thing is, you're never truly the expert. You're never truly done learning, and so you really have to enjoy that process and be comfortable with it, because that's at the center of medicine. I think the other thing that really, I think, separates the physician status from some other healthcare fields is that there's a lot of complex problem solving involved. Your goal as physician is to diagnose and come up with treatment plans for a variety of very complicated problems involving both medicine and science, but also like social problems as well, and navigate, helping patients navigate complicated healthcare systems, stuff like that. So there's a lot of problem solving that's happening constantly, and you have to be okay with the complexity and embrace it, because there's a lot of gray. It's not black and white almost ever in medicine. There's always multiple lines of thinking that are all correct, and so you have to kind of enjoy navigating that. I also think people that are happiest in medicine are, of course, very interested in how the human body functions. If you go this path, you hopefully enjoy thinking about the human body, because that's pretty much all you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. I also think the essential skill that you need to have is you have to be a good communicator. All day, you're communicating with different team members, different other physicians, nursing, pharmacists, different therapists, physical therapists. And of course, directly with patients. And I think being a good communicator is essential to doing well in medicine. I'm struck by it now as I'm returning to clinic, just how much of medicine is communication. So I think you really need to want to prioritize developing that skill. And I think you also have to kind of have a knack for it if you're walking down this path and want to be feel at ease while you're doing so. I also think as a physician, your role is often one of leader. You're going to be leading different care teams, and so you need to be comfortable with that responsibility and confident to take on that role. And I also think medicine is a team sport. You're constantly moving between different positions, from the leader to also the team, just a player on the team as well. And so I think you really need to enjoy working with others on the care team in order to be really happy. And of course, you have to really work hard. This is a long path, and you have to be okay with putting in hours every day. Even once you reach the end of the training process, many physicians work 60-hour weeks, 60 to 80, and so you have to be okay with working very hard. All right, so how do you become a physician? So first, most medical schools in the United States require a undergraduate degree. So you have to be working towards either a college or university degree. You don't have to major in science. You can major in whatever you want. In fact, I think many schools actually enjoy or seek out students that didn't major just directly in biology or chemistry. Certainly that's more than okay if you did, but we love building diverse classes, and we think that students that come from different walks of life are going to add a lot to the physician workforce. And so I encourage you to study whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There's like certain requirements you need to meet, which can be found on different websites. Like if you go to UAB's website, or if you go to the AMCAS website, that's where you can find the list of the courses that you'll be required to take. You can also talk with your advisor about it. But again, there's no requirement for what you major in. And then you're going to take this exam called the MCAT, and it can be very intimidating, I know. But I do think Montevallo prepares you more than well enough to do very well on this exam. I know it gave me everything I needed to do well on it, and I'm sure if you work hard in your classes, you'll be more than prepared to take it. And so the MCAT really is testing your ability to reason through complicated problems. That's going to be your job as a physician. And then you submit your application through what's called the AMCAS, and I would encourage you to go visit that website. It's the American Medical College Application System, I think is the name of it. I could be wrong. But that they have a ton of good information on what the requirements are for applying, et cetera. And so you apply it to most medical schools through the AMCAS website. And so I would encourage you to just go ahead and look at what's going to be required to fill out your application. That'll give you an idea of things you should be doing now to have a strong application. All right. So that's 4 years usually to get that to that part, but that's just really the beginning. And so you'll apply and enter a medical school. And these medical schools are it's 4 years of training. And it's usually divided into a preclinical phase and a clinical phase. So usually you'll spend 2 years studying, learning the human body, learning physiology and anatomy and pathology. And then you will enter into your clinical rotations, and you'll rotate through the hospital and all these different specialties like gynecology and obstetrics and surgery and internal medicine and neurology. And you'll be able to kind of pick some of the things that you're interested in to kind of get an idea of where you want to go for residency, which is the next step. And one thing that I was intimidated by was that medical school can be very expensive. You start looking at different schools, and I looked at the tuition. I was like, oh my goodness, this is insane. There's no way I can do this. But one thing I didn't know is that there's actually a great number of students are funded through scholarships given by a variety of medical schools. So if you work really hard in undergrad and have a really strong application, you'll be competitive for some of these scholarships, and that can help cover a lot of the costs. And I'd say, we'll talk more about this in just a second, but I think there's a ton of ways that to get things paid for. You end up earning quite a bit as a physician, and the loans, can be covered by that physician salary. But I do think there's some important things to consider with that, which I'll talk about in just a second. After you finish medical school, you go to residency, and this is where you can kind of specialize. So residency is 3 to 8 years, depending on what you choose to do, what type of physician you want to be, whether that's a family medicine doctor or a general surgeon, or maybe a neurosurgeon, or if you're going to be a psychiatrist or a radiologist. If you go to the AMCAS website, that'll give you an idea of all the different types of physicians and specialties that are out there that you can kind of choose from. You'll enter medical school thinking you're going to do one thing, but across the 4 years, you're going to learn so much more about medicine than you knew before. And most people actually change what they from what they think they wanted to do when they enter to what they end up applying for in residency. What's nice is you start getting paid in residency, and you can begin paying back your school loans if you had to take some out for medical school, etc. And then you will, and then you're done. You can be finished. You're finally done with training. So after 4 years undergrad, 4 years medical school, and 3 to 8 years residency, you can be finished. But some people choose to do fellowships, which are 1 to 3 years, and where you get further training in like a subspecialty of these different fields. Um, so here we go. So what should you be doing now if you're interested in considering this path? I think it's really important that you spend time exploring and learning about yourself, what you enjoy, what you want out of life. As you can see from the last slide, this is a long training path. The only mistake you can make is walking down it and not knowing enough about yourself to know that that was the right path for you to walk down. Because once you start, it's very difficult to transition out of this path. And that's like where you get into mistakes. And so I think the most important thing you can do is learn about yourself, learning about pretty much every healthcare field, science field out there. You have to figure out what you do and don't like, because otherwise you can end up not being very happy if you stick with healthcare, or you'll have to transition out of the medicine path into a different field. And so in general, this is the most important thing you can do. Shadow everything. I shadowed dentists and pharmacists and vets, like just to figure out like what I liked. I mean, I wasn't sure. So spend time exploring all these fields, get involved in research, figure out if you like doing research instead, or maybe you want to do both like I do, like I'm doing both research and clinical physician training. So just figure out what you like. You also need to figure out if you like working in teams, if you enjoy the leadership role, and if you get a lot out of helping others. There's a ton of different things that you can do where you're helping others, but figure out that's an essential thing that you absolutely want to have in your career, which is this direct interaction with others and their problems and helping them work through it. I also think you need to work really hard in your classes. Try to learn as much as you can. You don't have to be perfect, but definitely give it your best, because that's only going to help you. I also think it's really important to read these websites that I was telling you about. I would just type in the names of different medical schools and look at their admission stuff. They'll tell you kind of what they're looking for in applicants, different traits that they think make great physicians. And these are things that you can start thinking about. How can I develop these in myself? If you're interested in going down this path, and help you figure out if this is the right one for you too. I think the AAMC website has a lot of really good articles that you should become familiar with. That'll help you kind of navigate this process. And I also think I know pretty much everyone I showed in that first picture now is in healthcare somewhere or in science somewhere. We would all be more than happy for you to come spend some time with us, and we can kind of show you what we do, tell you about why we love the path we walk down, why we're enjoying where we're at now. So I'd say email University of Montevallo alums and come shadow us. If you reach out to faculty, most of them know us and know how to contact us, and they can kind of help put you in touch with us. We all, I think, really love Montevallo students in particular, and would love to have you come shadow us. So really quickly, I just want to run through a couple more things. So I think it's really important to know that you don't have to be perfect. None of us are. It's really easy to get it in your head that, like everyone like goes to medical school is perfect. And I promise you that is not the case. We don't have perfect applications. And I think like what the most important thing that they want to see is that you are committed to this path. You're good at overcoming adversity and obstacles in your life. I think we actually like students that struggled a bit, because we know they're going to persist, because you're definitely going to struggle in medicine and medical school and residency. And so you need to face a little bit of that early on. So I would say definitely don't think you need to be perfect. you see all these scores and they're all posted on the website, but that's like the average, and there's a huge range in every program you look at. I promise you that from GPA to MCAT score, don't let that deter you from applying. The most important thing is that you do have to be yourself. You have to know what you bring to the table, what you offer, why this is the right thing for you. That's what you have to know, and that's really what people are looking for in the admissions board, because we want to make sure that you're going to be happy and the kind of doctor that we want to go see when we get old or need a position. It's completely okay and maybe even preferable to take indirect kind of weird paths. I certainly did, and I think that only helped me. It's more than okay to take gap years. I think the medical students that do really well are those that actually did try some other things before they eventually found their way to medicine, or they took some gap years, some extra time to get used to working hard or really make sure this is the path for them. So definitely don't shy away from that. Again, many students are on scholarships. I had no idea this was a thing, but it is. And there's lots of different ways to get medical school paid for. And I don't think the cost should be something that deters you from going, but I do think it should determine where you go. I think it's a very important consideration. When you apply to different schools, look at the whole package and let that kind of help guide you. You don't want to go to a place that's going to cost you $300,000 in debt when you can go to a perfectly good school that maybe will only leave you with maybe $50,000 to $100,000 in debt. And again, once you get to the physician role, all these, you're able to pay back these loans without problem, as long as you don't take out, like $500,000. But you'll be totally fine. And I would say if you don't get into the school that you want, if you're only looking at schools that are very expensive that you're accepted to, take a gap year. It's going to strengthen your application. And when you apply the next time, I'd say like you're incredibly likely to get in because you're showing persistence and that you really want to go to that school. And it's really fun to take a gap year. So definitely keep that in mind. Sacrifices are real, so you really need to make sure this is the path for you. It's hard to really understand what that means until you go down it. But just do your diligence, explore everything out there. Really, you need to make sure this is the right path for you. You work hard going down this walk, but if it is the right one for you, it's incredible. I absolutely love getting to do what I do. I feel like I'm incredibly privileged to be on this training path. I feel very fulfilled, and I would say that's true of the majority of people that walk down this path, especially those that are confident and took time to explore all sorts of different fields to make sure this is the right one for us. So anyways, feel free to reach out. It's probably easiest to contact me through Twitter. That's my handle up there, I guess. It's Corey G. Duke. So anyways, good luck. I hope you enjoy Montevallo as much as I did, and I hope it offers you everything that it offered me. Enjoy your time. Thank you.